Hey there, welcome again, once again, to Talkin' Fight. Tonight on the show, we have Mike,
What's up, guys?
Derek, and Christian. And Christian's brought with him tonight some interesting history with respect to some unbreakable records that we've seen posted online this week. What you find out, Christian?
Oh, well, it all kind of stemmed from a conversation that Mike and I were having the other day about some of these records and, how long these things hold, how long they stand for. Um, and you get a lot of these from, there's a lot back in like the 1920s. We're talking almost a century ago, uh, where a lot of these happen, where you get guys like, the most wins with with the championship, most bouts. So you're looking at like Len Wickler with 340 wins over 470 professional bouts, which, you don't see careers that last like that anymore. Again, from the 20s, longest unbeaten streak, you're looking at Jimmy Wild with 104-0. Harry Greb back in the 20s, again, beat 14 separate Hall of Famers. So some of these have been holding for almost a century, some of these great ones. But I wanted to talk a little bit more modern than that, though. So some of the more recent records, but still unbeaten right now. So one of the ones I wanted to talk about was Manny Pacquiao and his octuple. For anyone who doesn't know, octuple is a champion boxer who's won major titles in eight different weight classes. Nobody else has done this. I think the closest anyone else has come would have been Hector Camacho, who had a septuple. But he hung up the gloves back in 2000. Actually, he passed away, I believe, in 2012. So I can't think of anyone off the top of my head in kind of modern era who's coming close to touching Pacquiao on that one. Another a little bit more modern. We're talking not quite as modern, but our youngest world champ ever, Wilford Benitez, at age 17 in 1976, became the WBC light welterweight champ, taking that title from Antonio Cervantes. When he did this, it was still 6 months shy of his 18th birthday, and he actually had his buddies from high school sitting ringside to cheer him on. So again, how things have changed over the years. And finally, in contrast, though, the one I'd like to focus on here for a moment is Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins made his debut in October of 1988 against Clinton Mitchell, which is a bout he lost, as a matter of fact, on decision. This did not exactly color his career, though, as he ended up having eventually a professional record of 55-8. With 2 draws. 55 wins, 32 by knockout, 8 losses, 1 by knockout, and 2 draws. Now, Bernard Hopkins, for those of you who don't know, is interesting because he was the oldest person to become champion, not once but twice. So he became the oldest person in 2011, and then he beat his own record when he beat Tavoris Cloud in March of 2013, becoming the oldest champ at age 48. And he didn't stop there. He kept fighting right through till 2016, actually. So his career spanned over 3 decades, finally hanging up the gloves at age 51.
Oh wow!
So we're spending 51. A lot of time. Yeah, we're spending a lot. We're talking about Tyson the last couple of weeks.
He's ending his career at the same time Tyson's trying to get back in.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bernard Hopkins, he's also one of 8 people in boxing history to hold 4 belts simultaneously: the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO. And the funny thing is that the number 8th person to join that rankings was a female boxer by the name of Katie Taylor, who did it last weekend with her fight. With her fight last weekend, she's just showing how dominant she is. She's been holding these belts for years now. Let's see, she is now the 2-year holder of the IBF, I believe, and 1-year holder of the WBO. Don't quote me on it. Maybe Christian, you can check up those stats for me when we talk about this girl and her brilliance. Like, honestly, she's unstoppable. I think, female boxing right now is getting super exciting. amazing. We have two women in boxing right now that are just blowing it up, and it's Shields and Taylor. And the way these girls are fighting, they fight like machines, man. They fight like the men. They're fighting strong, hard, tough. They're overwhelming people. This girl Taylor, she's the pride of Ireland, and I can see why the whole country stands behind her, man. She is a machine. She gets in there, she works hard. Every combination she throws is 5 to 10 exchanges. Out, she's back in, out, back in. She just overwhelms her opponents to the part where they're helpless, and it's crazy, man, to watch the way these women are really stepping up their game.
Yeah, I definitely need to check that out.
Yeah, you'll definitely need to check that out, man.
I gotta check it out. Yeah,
very exciting, very, very exciting. You know, simultaneously holding 4 belts, that's a record, you know. And she's gone down in that record books with, you know, Bernard Hopkins. Gentleman hangs his belt up at 51. He's on that list too. You know, there's only so many people that can achieve that kind of thing. And I think we're only just seeing the beginning of what this girl can bring to the table. She's unstoppable.
What was the fight last weekend?
It was her against Gutierrez. And it was just, it was an overwhelming bout. Like, I think Gutierrez stepped into the ring, not knowing what she was about to, you know, stand up against. Really, she's also an Olympic medal placer or holder. She's got 1 gold. She's got 5 women's champions. She's a 6-time European champion, 5-time EU champion, and 1-time European Games. She holds 18 gold medals,
wow.
You know, in her amateur career. And now we understand why she's holding, you know, all 4 belts. When you watch this girl, I'm telling you, it's one of the most exciting women I've seen in boxing today.
I definitely need to check this out.
You definitely need to check her out.
Yeah.
Another girl to watch is Shields. She's another one. She's also unbeaten, and another dominant one in a different weight class. And Taylor has decided to step her, you know, weight class up. She is now let's see. She is now the lightweight and middleweight. She's going after the belts, man. She's gonna climb the ranks and hit different weight classes for sure. You need to keep your eyes on this girl.
That's great. Now, listen, guys, it looks like Christian might have dropped off. You know, technical difficulties happen sometimes, right? But we can carry on. Mike, did you watch the Crawford Brooks fight on the weekend?
Definitely. What a great bout. It was everything I expected. Everything I expected. It started off a little slow, I'm not going to lie. You know, Brooks, he was able to he took advantage of the opening 3 rounds, and he kept Crawford at bay using that stiff jab and that straight right hand. And Crawford looked a little befuddled. And, you know, once that switch stance came up, the whole game changed.
I think, you know, I find that Crawford's really scientific in his approach to boxing. Like, he really feels the guys out, and then he goes in, right? And then he starts to close in. And I loved how, like you said, he switched stances, right? I think he started orthodox, then switched to southpaw, if I'm not mistaken. And then of course came the 4th round TKO. But
that was nice.
And you know. And the funny thing is, it was great. And the thing is with Brooks, I don't think he's ever been knocked out like that.
I don't think so either.
Not to my knowledge,
not
right?
To my recollection, I can't recall.
So that just speaks to his power that Crawford has. And it's really interesting, actually, if you go back to, you know, like the pre-fight hype and everything, and, you know, they got guys talking about each other, and, you know, Kell Brooks is naturally the bigger guy. He really is, right?
Yes.
But
definitely.
It just, like, it comes down to me, like, when you're in the weight class that you're in, I think that power is, like, you're born with power. It doesn't, like, size does matter in that sense, but if you're a power puncher, you're born with it, you've got it. So even though Crawford was the smaller man, he's got it, right? And all it takes is one shot.
It's not just size, though, man. Honestly, technique is everything.
That's what I'm saying, Mike. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right? You don't. The bigger man is not always the hardest hitter.
Exactly.
It's the one with the cleanest technique. The cleanest technique generates the most power. That's the way it works.
Yep.
And you know what? These guys, they got it, man. They got it. And just, you know, the power of Crawford when he smashed Brooke with those piston-like hands.
Oh yeah, that was
As
great.
soon as he connects, he smashed him. Just that was it.
And I think it just cements his position even more. Like, because Kell Brooks was a formidable opponent. Like he's banged with some of the good ones,
Yes,
and
definitely.
and so it's not like he was just like another stepping stone. He was a good fighter. So like there's so much to unpack about this, right? Like what's going to happen to Kell Brooks now? Is he done? What, like, and then the comments made by Bob Arum. I don't know if you heard that afterwards.
Oh no, I didn't hear those.
Yeah, no, he's like made some complaint, like how he was losing money on Terrence Crawford, and Crawford wants more fights, obviously, and
Who doesn't want most fights as a fighter,
Yeah.
That's when these guys want to. That's what they want to do, man. They want to be in that ring. That's where they feel at home.
Yeah, and it's like climbing up the ranks, and like you got some it's interesting. They've got some really good like there's a good swath of opponents that they could each go after, because you got Keith Thurman, you got Errol Spence Jr. Oh, looks like Christian might be coming back. We'll see. We got Errol Spence Jr., Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, and of course Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, definitely.
So
he's never going to stop that guy.
No.
Pacquiao's never going to stop.
And the funny part is like I think Top Rank and Bob Arum had a deal arranged with Manny Pacquiao to fight with Crawford somewhere in the Middle East, I think it was.
Right.
But because of COVID, it all kind of fell through.
It fell apart.
Yeah.
So you know what? Who's what I'm trying to see is what's Crawford's next move? Is Crawford going to fight Pacquiao, or is he going to fight Errol Spence Jr.? Honestly, I'd like to see him fight Errol Spence Jr. To be honest, that's my decision.
I agree. I agree, and then go after Pacquiao, but Pacquiao apparently wants to fight, or there's some sort of a deal maybe being arranged between Danny Garcia and or Mikey Garcia, I should say, and Manny Pacquiao first. So that might happen before. But I think what's happening in the industry now is like the pay-per-view market's just getting eviscerated, right? Because think about how they make their money. It's gate sales. Well, there's not that many people in attendance anymore because
it's these pay-per-views
because of the COVID, right? And then also with social distancing happening and everything else, you don't have 30 guys in a room or 20 guys over in your living room. You get you watch your pay-per-view, and then same with the bars, right? There's less people in the bars, and so I think they're having a tough time. So that affects the purses. And then if that affects the purses, then, some fighters will say, well, I don't want to fight. Like I think Thurman came in and said, like, I won't fight for less than 10 million or something like that. And it was too much and the deal fell through, right?
Well, that's
unfortunate. I think the hope was that pay-per-view sales were going to go up because we couldn't have 20 people in the living room to all watch.
I know.
That we were each going to have to buy our own copy of this to watch, right?
Yeah.
You would have thought, right? You would have thought that would have worked, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But, it was a good fight. It was a really good fight to watch. I enjoyed it. 4 rounds, classic Terrence Crawford, and 4 rounds in, TKO, picked him apart.
I'm not sure if you guys covered this. I was off for a moment there. My internet dropped for some reason. The joys of working from home. Like everyone else these days.
That's right.
You guys talked about the fact Crawford came out fighting orthodox initially for the first couple of rounds.
Yeah, we touched on that, and it's interesting because that must really mess with opponents, right?
It does. It changes your whole game plan. It's a completely different style, right?
You saw he was losing a lot of points on jabs there early on in the first couple of rounds, and that's why he went back to that southpaw style. I think round 3 he went back to southpaw there, and that really kind of slowed down the jabs that Kell was getting in.
Yeah, because it's an awkward, the jabs kind of touch almost, right?
Yeah.
It's a weird, it's awkward to watch. Yeah.
Nice little setup for the power.
Yeah. No, that's pretty powerful. If you got a guy that can, switch stances like that, boy. And he's got power, and he's got speed, and he's got, and he's a technician.
Yeah.
He could be, I don't know, people say he's going to be one of the greats. I think he's kind of there, but
I think he's knocking on the doorstep.
Yeah, but I think the Pacquiao fight, or once you get some contenders like Errol Spence, Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, these guys, that'll really cement it. If he can plow through those guys, then
it's not just who you're fighting, it's the opponents you're fighting. That's what makes you the great. You gotta beat the best to be the best.
Definitely. All right.
I'm telling you, guys, you need to tune in and watch this girl. This girl is gonna blow your mind. Katie Taylor, man, new number 1. She's been holding those belts for years. She's now entered the history of boxing, man. She's one of 8 people to hold 4 belts. This girl is a machine. Check her out. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. Honestly, I'd love to fight her. I'd love to fight this girl. And she'd probably beat the fucking shit out of me.
I would pay good money to watch her beat your ass.
I'd pay good money to get beat up by her. Trust me, man. She comes in there and just sticks and moves, and oh my god, it's crazy. She's just a machine. And I think anybody that stands in her way is in for a thrashing of a lifetime.
Well, I think ESPN just put out their new rankings in the female boxing world, and I'm pretty sure she's number 1.
See? There we go. New number 1. She's a woman. Honestly, she could beat up some of the men, I'm telling you. The way she fights.
Us 4 simultaneously.
Yeah, man. 4 belts simultaneously. She's going down in history now, man. Only 8 people have ever done that, and she's one of them. It's amazing. What an exciting fighter. I'm curious to see who Crawford fights next, though. I would definitely love to see him fight Earl Spence Jr. I think that would be a very exciting event.
Yep, I do too. And definitely Manny Pacquiao, of course.
Yes, Pacquiao. You know what? Either or. I'd be happy with either or. But I think that's his next move. It's definitely got to be his next move. Yep. I'm looking forward to LOL League. Mike Tyson, pillows on the hands, headgear, Roy Jones Jr. That's going down. We're gonna have to watch that.
When's that? That's coming up soon, right?
The 28th November.
Right? 8 days.
Pop your popcorn, buy your pay-per-view, $49.95 or $49.99 or whatever it is these days. And let's watch these old guys beat the crap out of each other.
See if Roy Jones Jr. still has the legendary speed and hook that he's.
You don't lose. It's like riding a bike. You don't lose that, man. Once you know how to knock somebody out, you always know how to knock somebody out.
Yep. And Tyson sure knows how to do that.
Oh, definitely.
So that's going to be exciting.
Mike Tyson debates with his fists.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, man. All right, gentlemen, before we sign off, any last comments going around the table? Mike?
Yes. Make sure you guys watch The Pride of Ireland, Katie Taylor. You won't be disappointed.
Derek?
I'm going to watch it. That's what I'm going to do.
In reruns, or does she have a fight coming up?
I haven't even checked the schedule. She just fought this weekend, so I don't know what's in the cards for her next, but I know she's definitely celebrating after that victory. It was. Well,
you sold me, Mike, so I'm going to check it out.
Definitely. We'll talk about it during the week.
Okay.
All right, that's your homework. That's the homework for the week. That is to check out that fight, and then we'll have to convene sometime midweek for a chat.
Definitely. We should definitely talk about these women next week. Let's talk about that division.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, women's boxing is getting very exciting.
Our cohort champ Bola Ray has been looking into Nigerian boxing, and he has an interview scheduled with a female champ coming up as well.
I'd definitely love to sit in and chat to her.
Yeah, so the African scene is certainly moving up in terms of gathering speed as well. Anyway,
Excellent.
I see it's almost time to wrap up, so it's great to have you guys on board again. And,
thanks again for having me.
Thanks for all those who tuned in and watched us this evening, and we'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.